We have a really crucial pair of Game 2s tonight, but we're going to start our show with breaking news. Sandy Brondello out as head coach of the New York Liberty. In a statement released by the team, it says in part, quote, Sandy finishes her tenure in New York as the winningest coach in franchise history, and she took us to never-seen-before heights as the first head coach to lead the Liberty to a championship. They ended by saying, we wish Sandy the very best.
Winning a championship is supposed to get you a statue, not a pink slip. But the New York Liberty just fired Sandy Brondello, the coach who brought them their first title in franchise history. The official reason they gave was a joke, a weak excuse that nobody believed for a second. The real story is far more explosive, a toxic mix of jealousy, politics, and the one name the league seems to fear, Caitlyn Clark. This isn't just about a coach losing her job. It's about a league exposing its own insecurity, and it all started with a simple compliment.
Sandy Brondello is out on the market. We got a shark out on the market. This is wild news. Sandy Brondello has been fired by the New York Liberty in shocking fashion. This is on ESPN. Breaking: New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello's contract will not be renewed for the 2026 season. The team announced the organization will begin the search for its next coach immediately. So we got Noel Quinn gone. Sandy Brondello gone. I think the Indiana Fever need to take a look at this. I think, look, it's not too late to fix the mistake.
The news dropped like a bomb, with no warning and no precedent. The New York Liberty announced they would not be renewing Sandy Brondello's contract. This wasn't just any coach. This was the woman who had accomplished the impossible. In her 4 seasons, she became the winningest coach in the franchise's nearly 3-decade history, leading a team loaded with talent to the promised land. Before Brondello arrived, the Liberty were a collection of high-priced, big-name stars, Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, Sabrina Ionescu, who struggled to find the cohesion needed to win it all.
In the WNBA history, all time, to win a title with multiple franchises, and her 40 playoff wins. They are the second most all time behind Cheryl Reeves.
Under her guidance, they transformed from a flashy roster into a championship-winning force, bringing New York its first professional basketball title in over 50 years. Her tenure was marked by 2 WNBA Finals appearances, and most importantly, the franchise's first ever championship. This kind of historic success should have guaranteed her job for years to come. Instead, just 1 season after raising the trophy, she was unceremoniously shown the door. The move was so bizarre and so unprecedented that it sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA community, leaving fans, players, and even rival coaches completely stunned and searching for answers.
Yeah, you never want to see a player get injured, and a player like Caitlyn coming back has had a few injuries this year. She's a great player. It would have been good for our crowd to see her, but hopefully we'll get to see her after most of the stuff. We get to play them again. As for the All-Star, I'm excited to get to know her a little bit. I think that's the part of being a star. It's going to coach players that you haven't coached before and get them to know them a little bit and enjoy the whole celebration.
The official statement from the Liberty was a masterclass in corporate doublespeak, an exercise in saying a lot without revealing anything at all. The team's general manager, Jonathan Kolb, thanked Brondello for her everlasting impact and for taking the team to never-before-seen heights. It was a glowing review for a coach they were actively pushing out, but the praise felt hollow, a weak and transparent attempt to soften a blow that made no logical sense from a purely basketball perspective.
New York Liberty just fired their head coach. People are confused as to why, because they won the championship last year, they made the playoffs this year. In sports, there's always a scapegoat when things aren't going the way that they wanted it to go. Clearly, in New York, the standard has been raised. As Coach Tibbs learned with the New York Knicks, making the playoffs does not guarantee that you are safe anymore. They have raised the standard. They're sending a message to the fans, to the team, saying, we don't want to just go to the playoffs. We need to go to the finals and we need to win. So if it's not the players on the court that are changing, it's got to be the coaching staff. So unfortunately, that did mean Coach Sandy.
The decision was quietly framed as a response to a disappointing first-round playoff exit the following season, but nobody was buying it. This was the winningest coach in their history, fresh off a championship parade. Firing her for one subpar season, especially a season riddled with injuries to key players, felt like a convenient pretext for something deeper, something more political. And that's when the whispers started to get louder, all pointing to one uncomfortable truth: Sandy Brondello may have been fired for committing the cardinal sin of praising Caitlyn Clark too openly. In the highly politicized and tense climate of today's WNBA, praising Caitlyn Clark has become a surprisingly controversial act. Brondello, however, never shied away from acknowledging Clark's generational talent. She had been consistently vocal about Clark's transformative impact on the league, recognizing her for bringing an unprecedented level of attention, television ratings, and new revenue to the sport. During the All-Star Game, where Brondello had the honor of coaching Clark, she spoke eagerly and positively about the opportunity to work with her. While these comments seem harmless and professional to any outsider, they were reportedly not well received by the Liberty's front office and ownership. In a league where many veteran players have shown flashes of jealousy towards the rookie phenom, and on a team built around established superstars who believe they are the face of the league, Brondello's praise was seen as a form of disloyalty. The narrative in New York was supposed to revolve around their own stars, not the sensational player from Indiana. By giving Clark her flowers, Brondello inadvertently challenged the fragile egos of a league struggling to reconcile with its newfound and somewhat unwanted superstar. Brondello's firing cannot be viewed in a vacuum. It is a direct consequence of the Clark effect, a phenomenon that has created a deep and bitter divide within the WNBA. Since her arrival, Clark has been at the center of numerous controversies she didn't create. She has faced overly physical, borderline dangerous plays on the court, with opponents seemingly trying to send a message that she doesn't belong. The public discourse around her has often been toxic, with narratives of jealousy and resentment dominating headlines as veteran players complain about the media attention she receives. Even the officiating has come under intense scrutiny, with many, including Clark herself, feeling that she's been given a tougher whistle than other players. This undercurrent of negativity has created an environment where acknowledging Clark's positive contributions is seen as taking a side against the league's established order. Brondello, by simply stating the obvious that Clark is a massive force for growth, found herself on the wrong side of this political divide. Her shocking dismissal now serves as a cautionary tale to anyone else in the league who dares to step out of line and praise the one player who is simultaneously lifting the WNBA to new heights and exposing its deepest insecurities. The reaction to Brondello's firing was swift, furious, and unified, revealing just how disconnected the Liberty's front office was from the rest of the basketball world. Fans were outraged, flooding social media with messages of disbelief and support for the ousted coach. But the most damning responses came from within the WNBA community itself. Rival coaches were openly critical of the decision. Las Vegas Aces coach Becky Hammon called the move something she didn't love, emphasizing that when you have a good coach, you keep the good coach. Minnesota Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve was even more direct, stating she was absolutely thrilled for the teams with coaching vacancies, knowing they were just gifted a championship-level coach. Perhaps most telling, however, was the reaction of Brondello's own players. In what would be her final press conference, when a reporter questioned Brondello's future, superstar Breanna Stewart's immediate on-mic response was, "What the foff?" Both Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu were visibly appalled at the suggestion, offering a passionate defense of their coach and making it crystal clear they had her back. This raw, public display of loyalty from her star players only made the front office's decision appear even more suspect, disrespectful, and completely out of touch. The firing of a championship-winning coach over what appears to be petty politics sends a chilling and destructive message throughout the WNBA. At a time when the league is experiencing unprecedented growth and mainstream attention, largely thanks to the eyeballs Caitlyn Clark has generated, this move reeks of self-sabotage. It suggests that the league's leadership and some of its most prominent teams are more concerned with protecting the egos of established stars than they are with fostering a healthy environment for sustainable growth. The decision tells every other coach in the league to watch what they say, to toe the company line, and to avoid praising the wrong player, even if that player is single-handedly driving the league's popularity and putting more money in everyone's pockets. This creates a culture of fear and silence, stifling honest discussion and alienating a rapidly growing fan base that is drawn to the sport by authentic, exciting players like Clark. Instead of celebrating the rising tide that lifts all boats, the Liberty chose to punish the one who acknowledged it, a move that could have lasting negative repercussions on the league's image and its ability to capitalize on this pivotal moment in its history. Beyond the public outrage, the real damage of this decision could be felt inside the Liberty's own locker room. When your star players, your MVP-caliber leaders like Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, passionately defend their coach in public, only for the front office to fire her anyway, it sends a clear and insulting message: your opinion doesn't matter. Trust between players and management is a fragile thing, and the Liberty may have just shattered it. This move creates a fundamental instability. How can players fully buy into a system when they know the person leading them can be removed on a whim, regardless of success? It introduces a poison into the team's culture, replacing trust with suspicion. Furthermore, this kind of drama gets noticed around the league. When it comes time for free agency, top players might think twice before signing with a franchise known for chaotic, disrespectful decision-making. The Liberty didn't just fire a coach, they may have fractured their foundation from within. This firing doesn't just look bad in isolation, it looks even worse when you view it as part of a disturbing pattern across the WNBA. From the moment Caitlyn Clark was drafted, she has been treated less like a rising star and more like a threat. We saw the infamous hip check from Chennedy Carter, an act so blatant it went beyond simple competitiveness. We've heard the constant welcome to the league narrative used to justify overly aggressive plays that seem designed to intimidate rather than defend. Then came the shocking Olympic team snub, a decision that baffled the sports world and was widely seen as a petty move to protect veteran egos. Brondello's firing feels like the latest and perhaps most extreme example of this league-wide resentment. It's no longer just players on the court. Now it's a front office making a high-level decision allegedly based on the same insecurity. It paints a picture of a league so afraid of one player's spotlight that it would rather sabotage its own champions than acknowledge her greatness. Here's where the story becomes truly absurd. The very player whose praise allegedly got Sandy Brondello fired is the same player who has been making the New York Liberty and its owners a lot of money. When the Indiana Fever came to town, the Barclays Center was sold out, packed with fans who paid top dollar to see Caitlyn Clark play. The television ratings for games between the Liberty and the Fever shattered records, bringing more eyes to New York's team than ever before. Every headline, every debate, every bit of media attention Clark generates raises the profile of the entire WNBA, which directly benefits every single team, including the one in the biggest market. The hypocrisy is staggering. The Liberty's front office is cashing in on the Clark effect with one hand while punishing their own coach for acknowledging it with the other. It's a move that isn't just petty, it's a terrible business decision disguised as a power play. While the Liberty are left to deal with the chaos they created, Sandy Brondello won't be on the sidelines for long. A coach with her resume, a two-time champion with 2 different franchises, and one of the winningest coaches in league history is a golden ticket. Teams with coaching vacancies, like the Seattle Storm, are likely already blowing up her phone. She is an elite leader who will be hired quickly, and whichever team gets her will be instantly better. But this sets the stage for the ultimate karmic justice, the revenge tour. Imagine Brondello taking over a rival team, implementing her championship culture, and building them into a powerhouse. Then picture a high-stakes playoff series where she stands on the opposite sideline, looking to knock the very team that discarded her out of the postseason. That's a storyline that writes itself, and it's a nightmare the Liberty brought upon themselves. Her firing wasn't an end, it was the beginning of the league's next great rivalry. Sandy Brondello's legacy in New York is cemented forever with a championship banner, a feat no other coach had ever accomplished for the franchise. Yet her reward was a shocking and insulting dismissal, seemingly for acknowledging the undeniable, game-changing impact of Caitlyn Clark. The Liberty's decision doesn't just tarnish their own reputation, it exposes a deep and startling insecurity running through the veins of the WNBA, forcing fans to ask a difficult question: is the league truly ready to embrace the future, or will it continue to punish those who dare to speak its name? Brondello will undoubtedly land on her feet. A coach of her caliber and accomplishment won't be unemployed for long. But for the New York Liberty and for the league as a whole, they have created a storm of their own making, one that calls into question their leadership, their priorities, and their place in the future of a league that appears to be at war with its own success.